Hey there, everyone. Welcome to Channel Name, where we're all about helping you live your healthiest, happiest life as you age. I'm Your Name, a health and wellness expert based in the U.S., and today, we're diving into a topic that hits close to home for so many of us: stress. Now, picture this: you're juggling doctor's appointments, worrying about the grandkids, or maybe just feeling the weight of daily life. Sound familiar? Stress is part of being human, but did you know that chronic stress could be quietly increasing your risk of dementia, including Alzheimer's disease? That's right, and it's a bigger deal than most of us realize, especially for those of us over 50. Before you start to worry, let me reassure you, understanding this connection is the first step to taking control. In this video, we're going to unpack how stress affects your brain and body, share some inspiring stories of people who've turned things around, and give you practical, easy-to-follow tools to manage stress and protect your cognitive health. So, grab a cup of coffee or tea, get comfortable, and let's explore how you can keep your mind sharp and your life vibrant. Let's start with the basics. What is stress, and why does it matter so much as we age? Stress is your body's way of responding to challenges or threats. Back in the day, it helped our ancestors dodge saber-toothed tigers by kicking their bodies into fight or flight mode. When you're stressed, your brain signals your adrenal glands to release cortisol and adrenaline, giving you a burst of energy and focus. In short bursts, this is great. It's why you can jump into action during a crisis. But when stress sticks around for weeks, months, or even years, it's like keeping your car engine revved up all the time. It wears you down. Chronic stress is particularly tough on the brain, especially as we get older. A 2023 study from Alzheimer's Research and Therapy followed over 1.3 million people and found that those with chronic stress or depression were more likely to develop mild cognitive impairment or dementia. Another study from Korea, also in 2023, showed that people with stress-related disorders had a 15% higher risk of dementia, with those experiencing post-traumatic stress disorder facing an even higher risk, up to 78% more. These numbers are eye-opening because they show that stress isn't just a mental burden, it's a physical one that can affect your brain's future. So, how does stress do this damage? It's all about cortisol, that stress hormone I mentioned. When cortisol levels stay high for too long, they can harm the hippocampus, a small but mighty part of your brain that's like the filing cabinet for your memories. Research from Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience has shown that older adults with consistently high cortisol levels have smaller hippocampal volumes, which means worse memory performance. Think of it like a library where the books start getting misplaced because the shelves are shrinking. But it's not just the hippocampus. Chronic stress also triggers inflammation throughout your body, including your brain. Inflammation is like a low-grade fire that, over time, can damage healthy tissues. In the brain, it's linked to the buildup of beta-amyloid plaques and tau tangles, two proteins that are hallmarks of Alzheimer's disease. Beta-amyloid forms sticky clumps that disrupt brain cell communication, while tau creates tangles that choke neurons from the inside. Both are bad news for cognitive health. Now, I know this sounds heavy, but here's where my years of working with older adults come in. I've seen firsthand that stress doesn't have to win. The brain is incredibly resilient, even as we age. By managing stress, you can not only feel better today but also protect your mind for tomorrow. And the best part? You don't need to be a scientist or a fitness guru to do it. Simple changes, like taking a walk or chatting with a friend, can make a huge difference. Let's think about why this matters so much for those of us in our 50s, 60s, and 70s. As we age, our brains naturally undergo changes, things like a slight reduction in size or changes in blood flow. Chronic stress can speed up these changes, making us more vulnerable to cognitive decline. But here's the flip side: every step you take to manage stress is like giving your brain a shield. It's not about eliminating stress entirely, that's impossible, but about handling it in a way that keeps you healthy and sharp. In my work, I've met so many people who've transformed their lives by tackling stress head-on. One client, a 65-year-old named Susan, told me she used to lie awake at night worrying about her finances. She noticed she was forgetting things more often, like where she parked her car. After we worked together to incorporate some stress-busting habits, like daily walks and a simple breathing exercise, she said her mind felt clearer and she was sleeping better. Stories like Susan's are why I'm so passionate about this topic. So, what's next? We're going to dive into some real-life stories that show how stress can affect your brain and how managing it can turn things around. Then, we'll share practical tools you can start using today. Stay with me, this is where it gets really exciting. Now that we've covered the science behind stress and its impact on your brain, let's make this real with a couple of stories from people I've worked with. These are folks just like you, navigating the challenges of aging, and their experiences show how managing stress can make a tangible difference. First, meet John, a 68-year-old retired teacher. After his wife passed away, John was hit hard by grief and stress. He stopped going to his weekly card games, started eating takeout most nights, and found himself forgetting little things, like where he put his glasses or what he needed at the store. He came to me worried that these memory lapses were a sign of dementia. We talked about how his chronic stress was likely playing a big role. Together, we created a plan. John started taking 20-minute walks around his neighborhood, joined a local book club to reconnect with friends, and practiced a simple deep breathing exercise each morning. Within a few months, John noticed his memory improving, his mood lifting, and a renewed sense of control. He told me, "I feel like I'm getting my life back." John's story shows that stress can cloud your mind, but small changes can clear the fog. Then there's Margaret, a 72-year-old who was caring for her husband with Alzheimer's. Caregiving is one of the most stressful roles out there, and Margaret was feeling it. She was exhausted, snapping at her kids, and struggling to sleep. She admitted she was starting to forget appointments and felt like her brain was in a haze. We focused on small, manageable steps. Margaret started taking 15-minute breaks to garden, something she loved but had put aside. She also joined a caregiver support group, where she found people who understood her challenges. Over time, she noticed she was sleeping better, feeling less overwhelmed, and even enjoying her time with her husband more. Margaret's experience highlights how stress management isn't just about you, it can also make you a better support for those you love. These stories aren't just anecdotes, they're backed by science. A study from JAMA Network Open found that psychological distress, like chronic stress, is associated with a higher risk of dementia, but interventions like social support and lifestyle changes can mitigate this risk. That's exactly what John and Margaret did. They took control. So, how can you do the same? Let's talk about some practical, science-backed tools to manage stress, tailored for those of us over 50. These aren't complicated or time-consuming, they're designed to fit into your life. First, exercise. You don't need to run a marathon. A 20-minute walk, a swim, or even chair yoga can work wonders. Exercise releases endorphins, those feel-good chemicals that counteract stress. It also lowers cortisol levels. If mobility is an issue, try gentle stretches or Tai Chi, which is great for balance and relaxation. Aim for 30 minutes most days, but even 10 minutes is a great start. Next, meditation and mindfulness. These sound fancy, but they're really just about focusing your mind. Try the 4-7-8 breathing technique. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 7, exhale for 8. Do this for 5 minutes, and you'll feel calmer almost instantly. There are also free apps like Calm or Insight Timer with guided meditations for seniors. I've had clients who started with just 3 minutes a day and saw their anxiety drop significantly. Social connection is huge. Loneliness can amplify stress, so make time for friends and family. Call someone you haven't talked to in a while, join a book club, or check out your local senior center for activities like bingo or crafts. Even online communities can help. There are forums for everything from gardening to grandparenting. One client of mine, a 70-year-old named Tom, joined a virtual chess club and said it gave him something to look forward to each week. Don't sleep on hobbies. Whether it's knitting, painting, or playing the guitar, doing something you love can be a stress reliever. I remember a client, Linda, who rediscovered her love for watercolor painting after years of putting it aside. She said it was like a vacation for my brain. Find something that sparks joy, even if it's just reading a good book. Finally, a healthy lifestyle ties it all together. Eat plenty of fruits, veggies, and foods like salmon or walnuts, which are rich in omega-3s and support brain health. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Create a bedtime routine to wind down, like avoiding screens an hour before bed. And go easy on caffeine and alcohol, which can ramp up anxiety. If stress feels too big to handle alone, don't hesitate to talk to a therapist. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, is especially effective for managing stress and improving sleep. You can find therapists through your doctor or online platforms like BetterHelp. The beauty of these tools is that you can start small. Pick one thing, like a short walk or a quick breathing exercise, and build from there. In the next part, we'll wrap up with a clear plan to put this into action and a powerful takeaway to keep you motivated. We've covered a lot today, from the science of how stress can harm your brain to real stories of people who've fought back. Now, let's bring it all together and give you a clear path forward. The goal isn't just to manage stress, it's to protect your brain, boost your quality of life, and age with confidence. Let's quickly recap. Chronic stress can increase your risk of dementia by raising cortisol levels, which damage the hippocampus, and by triggering inflammation that's linked to Alzheimer's and other diseases like diabetes. Studies, like one from Scientific Reports, show that stress-related disorders can raise dementia risk by 15% or more. But the stories of John and Margaret show that you can fight back with simple, everyday changes. Here's something I've learned from years of working with older adults: stress doesn't exist in a bubble. It's tangled up with other parts of your life, like sleep, diet, and social connections. For example, poor sleep can make stress worse, and stress can make it harder to sleep. A diet high in processed foods can increase inflammation, which stress amplifies. That's why managing stress is like hitting multiple birds with one stone. It helps your brain, your body, and your overall well-being. Let me share one more story to drive this home. I worked with a 62-year-old named Robert, who was stressed about his upcoming retirement. He was worried about losing his sense of purpose and started noticing he was more forgetful. We created a plan that included volunteering at a local animal shelter, which gave him a new sense of purpose, and practicing mindfulness through a daily 10-minute meditation. Robert told me that not only did his stress levels drop, but he also felt sharper and more engaged in life. His story reminds us that stress management isn't just about preventing problems, it's about thriving. So, what's your next step? Here's a simple plan to get started. Pick one stress buster. Choose one technique from today's video. Maybe it's a 10-minute walk, a 5-minute breathing exercise, or calling a friend. Start small, but start today. Make it a habit. Try your chosen technique for a week. Set a reminder on your phone or pair it with something you already do, like walking after breakfast. Build on it. Once you're comfortable, add another technique. Maybe try a new hobby or join a local group. Small steps add up. Check in after a month. Notice how you feel. Are you sleeping better? Feeling less anxious? Your brain will thank you. Here's the big takeaway: aging doesn't mean decline. Your brain is resilient, and by managing stress, you're giving it the tools to stay sharp. Whether you're 50, 60, or 70, it's never too late to make a difference. Stress may be part of life, but it doesn't have to control your future. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who might need it. Subscribe to Roots of Remembering for more tips on aging well, and let me know in the comments which stress-busting technique you're going to try first. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.